We are looking at Jacqueline's breaststroke below the water. Commentary with Coach Chris. All right, Jacqueline, now we're going to watch it again. I like to watch full speed just so we can kind of see what's going on. And I'm going to tell you, a lot of the adjustments you need to make are really tough to make because you have a good breaststroke. And some of the things we're trying to change are going to be really tiny changes. But they can have a really big impact on your breaststroke. So it's one of those things where we're going to try and figure out and just get an idea of what we want to do. Again, we kind of talked a lot about what we saw above water. You know, this right here is as good a position in the water as you can get. Your hands, your forearms, and your elbows are in a straight line right under the surface, ready to drive forward. That's exactly where you want to complete that pull. So you do a really fantastic job of this. Now, if you watch, this is the only thing I can nitpick. If you watch your extension, though, we still have a little bit of that dolphin dive breaststroke. Because watch the hands. Hands are going to go downward. And we want them to go straight out. Now, when the hands go down, which way do they have to go? Once they go down, they have to go up. And one of the things you're doing to adjust this is you look at your fingertips. Once you extend, you've got your fingertips pointing up. And what you're doing is you're using that to help get yourself back up to the surface because the hands went down too deep. So here you're kind of now you're at the position you want to be, so your hands are flattening out again. So let's go back just a little bit. I want to see that again. So here you're good. And we're extending down, and that's the error we're making. We're not pushing straight out. Our hands are coming down as our first movement. And that's just because everyone learns that dolphin dive stroke when they first learn breaststroke. So that's just a little remnant of that, and that's something we're trying to eliminate. And there's what happens as a result. When your hands get too deep like that, you need to get up to the surface and reestablish that high body position. So you're turning those fingertips up here and using that to guide yourself up. The problem is you're also increasing how much drag you have in the water, so you're losing speed. And now we're back at the surface. Everything's back in alignment. Everything's where we want it. Again, up to this point right here, you're perfect. That's the alignment we want. That's the height we want. Really good. But again, watch that first movement of your hands as you start to drive forward. Perfect. Boom. Downward. And now the fingertips have to point up to get us back to the surface. So if there's anything we need to get rid of as far as this breaststroke, it's that movement right there. Nice wide sweep. Going into that next stroke, good head press. You can get the head just a little bit lower. Right now you can see you're not quite tucking as far as I want. I'd like to get the eyes just down a little more. And what that'll do is that'll help get those hips even more elevated for that finish of the kick, which would be more power. But really good weight transfer. Watch your hips. They just slid forward. Watch them drive back to drive that kick. That's where you're getting the power from in your kick. That forward to back motion. As your heels come in, you're going to watch your hips drive back. Boom. And that's as good a timing as you can get on that. That's why you get so much good energy out of that kick. Okay, this part of the turn really solid, just bringing the feet under, but you're going to let the head kind of drop too low. And one of the problems we have is we're trying to twist too much on the wall. Okay, you don't have to get to where you're all the way looking down. Just get to where you're on your side. And then push off on your side and then finish the roll during your initial glide on the streamline. See, this is pretty good, but this is where the mistiming happens. Streamline looks great, but look at the angle. We're pointing down, and we're going to take that first stroke. And you see what happened? You went deeper. So now you only get so many movements in order to get to the surface and get swimming. And we've already used one of the biggest ones we have, and we're going the wrong direction. At this point, we should be angled up, heading towards the surface, but you're still angled down. Okay? Now, let's talk about your positioning, because your positioning is almost perfect. Head is down. We're leading with the crown of our head. The crown of your head is leading. So that's perfect. The feet are nice and tight and under control. But we talked about it in the above water video. Look at the hands. They're out wide. They're tight, but they're out wide. And if there's any space between your body, any holes, anything the water can get in between or grab onto, it's grabbing onto it. So we got to get those hands to finish down here on top of your thighs. So I want the hands, the palm pressed onto our lap, on our thigh, and I want the elbows and arms tight into the ribs and tight along the body, not up above the body, behind the body like you've got them now. And that'll give you way more speed on this middle glide here. Sweep is good, and now we're starting to rise. See how we're changing our alignment? But the problem is you don't have anything left to get you to the surface but the kick. Lucky for you, you have a very good kick, so you can actually get most of the way there. But we would have an even more explosive pull out if we can get both that pull and that kick to go towards this breakout. And then they would add energy to each other. And right now it's just the kick that's getting you to the surface. So very solid breaststroke, but we already knew that. Few things to adjust, and again, they're minor things, but they're going to make a huge difference in the long run on your top speed and your efficiency and endurance. Okay, big thing I saw, and there's not a whole lot of things wrong, but the big thing I saw was as you're extending on that recovery, after you've gotten to the top of your stroke and you're starting to drive the kick, your very first movement instead of forward is to throw the hands downward. And it's just not much, but it's bringing you about 2 inches, 3 inches lower than you want to be. And in order to counter that, we're putting on the brakes by turning our fingertips up, and that's slowing us down. And that's happening every stroke. Right here. So try to extend straight across the water so that your hands end up in a nice flat position. Try not to throw the hands down and follow them into the water. Again, there's a lot worse versions of this. You have a really good stroke. This is a minor nitpick, but it will make a big difference on that stroke. I'd like your head to get down a little lower. I want you to make sure, especially as you get tired, that you're getting that kick all the way through and locked in before you lift the head and start the next stroke. So, really good job. Breaststroke looks awesome. Of course, it's your best stroke, but there are a few things we can tweak. Wall solid. Try to make sure you're not twisting too much on the wall. Push off when you get to your side and then rotate the rest of the way after you leave the wall. And try and make sure you're timing that initial pull a little better. We're just a little early with it, and we're pulling on our way down. And when you're on that pull out, I want that actual pull to be on the way up. I want everything going towards that breakout. So have a great trip. I heard you're coming home. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow night or tonight at practice whenever you get back in town.